Hi everyone, so in part 2 we're going to be looking at how the PG Cert is structured, what you're going to be doing in terms of your studies and learning on the programme, and what commitments you're going to need to make in order to be successful. So across the 2 years that the PG Cert takes place in, there are 2 modules. So first up, in year 1, you take professional practice in teaching, learning and assessment. And what this is an overview and at times an introduction to the kind of core components of teaching in post-compulsory education. So we look at how you plan lessons, how you deliver and teach, how you manage and support learning in lots of different environments, and how you assess students and give effective developmental feedback. And across the year, you're going to be trying all of these different things out, looking to improve your practice in lots of different ways. And the assessment is that you pull those pieces together, evidence of you trying these things out, and your reflections on if they're working, how well they're working, what remaining challenges there are, and that becomes your professional portfolio. In year 2, instead of going broad, you have the opportunity to pick a particular aspect of your teaching or of your wider practice and try and get really better at that one specific thing. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't be improving in all sorts of more general ways, but in the second year, you're really honing your focus and almost getting better at your own development. So what action research is as a process is it's a practitioner-based form of research where you will both try and investigate a particular area of your teaching, say how you design courses, say how you form positive relationships with the students you have, and you seek to learn more about that topic and also experiment and try new things out. And you go through a couple of cycles of making an intentional change, figuring out what's working, what's not working so well, how you can course correct, and planning new things to do as a result of that learning that you've got for yourself. Now, the module in the second year is assessed by a project proposal to ensure that you're going to be researching ethically, that your plan is on track, and then a final written report at the end of the year, which gives you an opportunity to step back from the whole PG Cert and really work out for yourself, in what ways have you developed and grown as an educating practitioner over the 2-year programme. Across both years, you're going to be getting face-to-face taught sessions. Now, we run these as 2-day workshops, and they happen from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. on consecutive weekdays. Right, so we've learned to avoid weekends, and they happen in the holidays, so in the weeks before and after each BIM term. So there are 4 of these 2-day sessions a year. Now, these workshops are really active and experiential, right? So you're not sitting there and listening to a lecture. We aim to get you learning and processing kind of key content, new material on the course, and applying it straight away. So these workshops are a hotbed of creative process, of discussion and debate, and of you actively taking ideas from the course and from your reading and really trying to plan a change to your teaching. Now, talking about your teaching, it really is central to your success on the PG Cert. As I've said, we're a practice-based course. We're helping you improve and develop, your own ways, your own style and approach to supporting the students that you have, supporting their learning, right? So this is what you'll be doing most of the time during your PG Cert. We recommend at a minimum 2 to 3 hours of classroom practice, of actually being in there and delivering lessons. But as I've said, that can be a bit flexible. Some of you will be working more at BIM, some of you less at BIM, and all of your practice can include depping other people's lessons, doing one-to-one tutorials, bits of marking, and any other of those professional activities that we're talking about. And then alongside that practice that you'll be doing weekly, we get you to form into peer discussion groups. So we call them action learning sets, where you're learning through reflecting and through sharing and discussing with each other, all of the things that you're learning on the course, all of the things you're practicing in your teaching, and trying as a group to support each other getting better at these. Initially in the course, these may be facilitated by one of the PG Cert tutors, but ultimately you'll be taking responsibility for organising, for meeting, and for reporting on your learning within the action learning sets. So these are your kind of prime chance to process your learning, to support each other on the course as well, and to keep the group together between the workshops. I mean, as I've said, I think a lot of the groups on the PG Cert become very close-knit, and actually a lot of people appreciate there being opportunities to just check in with one another, to just not lose complete sight of where we're going within the course. The other way that we do that actually is by keeping in contact, discussing things online, right? So the PG Cert is delivered in what's called blended learning, which means a balance of face-to-face and online or distance learning activities. And the main online learning activity on the course is posting up regular blog tasks, right? So during each BIM term, there'll be some form of regular blogging that we'll be asking you to do. And these involve some balance of reading, researching new teaching and learning ideas, reflecting on your practice, how you're actually trying these things out in the room, and also getting an opportunity to write and to approach academic writing within a really safe and constructive environment. And across all three of those, the blog tasks are directly building up your final assessments. So for example, in your first year, each of the blog tasks throughout the terms could be built up into, a final piece of your portfolio. So at each point throughout the year, you're really getting opportunity to practice all of these different skills of teaching and learning, and also to get really great developmental feedback on how to improve that practice and how to improve it as a piece of assessed work. So feedback from each other on the course, and also feedback from us as course tutors. So throughout the course as well, you get access to individualised support through one-to-one tutorials. Now we usually do these online, we can use Skype, FaceTime, whatever works for you, and we can actually offer face-to-face tutorials, although they might be quite limited when we're travelling about between the colleges as well. So these tend to be between 30 minutes and an hour long, so they're quite in depth. They really give you the space to think through, reflect on, really process some of the things that are happening for you. And you've got an entitlement to 8 hours of individual support over the 2 years of the programme. You also get allocated a particular personal tutor or a mentor for your assignments each year. So you can book in with other PG Cert tutors that you meet, that's absolutely fine, but there will be a named tutor there that will be helping you with particular support for getting your portfolio together or for staying on track with your research in the second year. So as it's a practice-based course, we're here to help you with your teaching. We do offer support through teaching observations. We want to help you with what's happening in the room. Our teaching observations are absolutely developmental, right? So we don't grade, we don't come in and assess your teaching in any kind of hard or punitive way, and we have a team of really well experienced and expert teachers, observers that will come round, and they'll offer coaching and mentoring after having observed your teaching, right? So this is absolutely private and confidential. None of your feedback actually gets passed anywhere else in the PG Cert team. It stays there in the the relationship between you and the observer. And it's just there to help you think about your practice in a deeper way, to see your teaching from different perspectives, and to get really expert advice on how to move things forward. Now, you do need 4 of these observations over the 2 years of the programme. While we don't assess your teaching, it is one of the ways in which we, I suppose, authenticate, the fact that you are practicing, the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you're up for learning and improving yourself as a teacher. And especially in the second year, we encourage you to observe other people on the course, dip into other people's lessons, see how other people, other tutors, are approaching this thing from different angles, and see what you can steal, for your own development. While we're a highly supportive course, there's a lot of support you get from our tutors and from each other. One of the hallmarks of postgraduate study is that it does always involve quite a high degree of independence and of you going out there and independently finding new things out, trying things out. And I think you just kind of need to be aware of that up front at this point. We encourage you throughout the course to keep a reflective journal or a diary. There's no requirement to do this any number of times or in any particular depth, but it's a really useful practice to get into for you to capture key learning that you find yourself generating, and reflecting on your practice, particular moments of what works, what doesn't. And then for your own study, we also provide a whole host of extended materials, video content, additional reading for you to explore and for you to delve into. And then finally, thinking about the assessments and how they fit within the structure of the course. Now, as I've said, in the first year, your Module 1 is assessed by a portfolio, a digital portfolio of your practice, and this is the equivalent of about 6,000 words. So you can use audio reflection, you can use video, you might include schemes of work and other pieces of evidence like that. And then in the second year, you're assessed by a 1,500 word written proposal that includes an ethical approval component for good practice in your research, and then a final written 6,000 word report. All assessments of the PG Cert involve some form of reflective writing, thinking about your practice, thinking about how you can improve continuously, where you have to link your experiences and the things that you're doing with wider reading, with feedback, with ways that you're trying to account for the impact that you're having as a teacher. And as I've said, I think there are loads of opportunities for support and for feedback, both producing your assignments and really getting them to the highest standard they can be. So to summarise, because I'm aware that was an awful lot right away, there are 4 2-day face-to-face workshops each year during the holidays. There are group action learning sets that you'll be involved in. We recommend between 3 and 6 hours each term, and you can schedule them however works for your group. There'll be guided online blog tasks, and again we recommend between 2 and 4 hours each week to keep on top of your reading and other forms of reflection. You'll have 4 developmental teaching observations over the whole course, so this should account for about 2 a year. That's absolutely fine. And then you get an allowance of 8 hours of one-to-one tutorial support that you can use in any kind of split between your mentoring and then other forms of one-to-one tutorial. And then the big bulky undefined piece of independent reading, journaling, writing up your assignments, giving and receiving feedback, and undertaking your action research. And then a typical year in the PG Cert will incorporate all manner of those things. So in the summer breaks, as you'll see, or in all of the breaks, you'll have a 2-day workshop, and then during the term, that's your time to be practicing, to be getting observations on your practicing and working out how well you're doing, to be blogging, and to be getting together in your action learning groups and discussing your improvement and your progress. That's it for video 2. In part 3, we're just going to talk about some of the admissions processes and your next steps for the PG Cert.